Hello everyone, this is Mathias Alberton. I am a trainee sports psychologist via the BPS route, and I have done my master's at St Mary's University in Twickenham, London. I have developed martial attitude training, and I am the founder of Martial Attitude C.I.C. Today, I'm here to introduce you to the work that I have done in terms of research, but also in terms of applied practice. And it is quite interesting because it doesn't want to be a blueprint for you on how to do things. Rather, provides some insights and to give you ideas to develop your own system, your own training program, where you adapt physical education to people with disabilities. Before we start, I invite you to flash on the QR code on the first slide, and you will find it as well on the last one with full reference. And you can connect with me to browse on the website and to read the full paper that I have created on touch exchange, confidence, and participation in physical activity among visually impaired and blind people. So let's dive in. So I would start here with a bit of context. In the UK right now, there are nearly 3 million people living with sight loss, and more than 40% of them are actually obese due to the limited participation in physical activities. But further, there are comorbidities. So limited physical activity participation, of course, means that they have very bad behaviors in terms of eating and kind of laziness in preparing meals. It is difficult for them to do so, plus accessibility to the physical activity is complex. And for parents, for instance, research shows that parents value very much physical activities because it can provide children with confidence, creating meaningful connection with others, but it's very, very difficult for them to put everything in place, and they need to participate as well. The children cannot go alone, which creates an extra problem on their daily schedule. So for instance, in my research, you will see this kind of quote, which is very interesting. And the things do not exist unless I touch them. Now, this is the highlight of how essential touch is. Not just for navigation, as it would appear normal because you touch things and you move from the table to the door and so forth, but for emotional, psychological connection as well. And this hunch, if you want, which has been then proved by the research, which was a qualitative research with interviews with visually impaired and blind people exploring the themes, inspired me years ago to create martial attitude training, where we focus on building confidence and promoted inclusion for visually impaired individuals through tactile-based martial arts training. This might be not the perfect occasion to dwell too much in psychological concept. However, it is quite important for understanding why the training, martial attitude training, is effective, is to explore the psychological foundation behind it, which is derived largely by one major idea, which is the self-determination theory. And this framework identifies three basic psychological needs. The first one is the one of autonomy, therefore the ability to make choices, feel in control about the choice we make. The other one is competence, which is all about mastering the skills, feeling effective when delivering them. And the third one, importantly, is relatedness. So the need to connect with other people. And in the context of visual impairment, this is particularly poignant because visual impaired tend to be isolated, which is exactly isolation is one of the things that happens when one of these psychological need relatedness is not met. So in the context of physical activities, these elements drive motivation. And when these needs are met, individuals are more likely to engage, to persist, to thrive. For visually impaired individuals, self-determination theory helps us understand how to create an environment where they feel supported, capable, connected. As I mentioned before, my research was starting off the idea of putting together the idea of touch, the idea of confidence, and how these do relate with physical activities. And the basic principle idea was that maybe touch, as for touching the table, and touch in a social context when someone else is touching you and you are touching someone else. For instance, if you think about a blind person at the grocery store queuing up, or being bounced, by chance by someone on a crowded bus. This kind of touch, how does this relate to confidence? And we discovered during the research that visually impaired individuals uh, understand touch not just merely as a sense, which is an essential way to interact with the world. It serves as a substitute for visual cues, helping navigate spaces, understand objects, connect with others on a fundamental level. So this facilitates spatial awareness, connection, independence, but through touch, individuals understand a mental map of their surroundings, improve the posture, the balance, the ability to move confidently. It also fosters a sense of autonomy, enabling them to control their interaction with their environment. Psychologically, the idea is that there is an existential significance to it. So, in my research, participants describe touch as a way to give meaning to the word. For instance, one participant said touch is a way to make sense of it. This reflects how tactile experiences not only support practical skills but also fulfill deeper psychological needs, such a feeling of connecting with others and reducing isolation, as we said before. And this connects strictly to the self-determination theory and underscores the role of confidence and confidence building to well-being. So what do we do at Martial Attitude Training? We do derive techniques based on Kung Fu Wing Chun, which is a martial arts based on the exchange of pressure with the arms and forearms from one person to another, standing in front of each other. The picture here, of course, is quite famous. Shows Master Q with his most famous pupil was Bruce Lee, and then Bruce Lee, of course, developed things on his own. But at the beginning, you can see them training together a form which is called the Chi-So, so an exchange of rotating movement of the hands, the arms, and the forearms. So the idea is to create some of these techniques translated into verbal cues so that visually impaired or blind people, who I remember you are very different from one another according to the level of impairment they have, and to have the possibility to train with fully sighted people. So training together, they can create a shared learning environment where both groups benefits. And this is one important feature of martial attitude training, which is not to get fit, but to create an activity where the people who are disabled, they do not do something specifically for them, but they do the same thing that we fully sighted people do. So they can share literally the same thing. Of course, is key for participants to be motivated to partake the activity. And as we have seen before, self-determination theory, there are other mini theory like the cognitive evaluation theory, and they describe how motivation can be understood as a position on a continuum between intrinsic, so sleeping. Of course, to understand what to do is to understand how to motivate participants to be there and to be there consistently. Therefore, motivation is an important part of the process of creating an adapted physical education. Is again related to self-determination theory, one of the mini theories embedded into it, that is the cognitive evaluation theory. And this states pretty much that motivation lays on a continuum between intrinsic, so it comes from within, and extrinsic, which means it comes from outside. Let's say prices or coercion from the outside to do something like do this and you will get this prize if you do it. That kind of motivation. But autonomy is very important because the cue for motivation is to explore new behaviors, partake new activities because you're curious about it and you are then free to choose to partake them. The other one instead is, of course, we've seen competence, but we have seen that competence is satisfying oneself because the thing that I do, it really resonates with me because it's interesting to me. And the other one is that environments of learning, if there are substantial support in the environment by peers with you, and you are socially accepted and feel safe and you have positive feedback, all this, they do create a perfect environment for motivation to thrive, specifically intrinsic motivation. And this is what we wanted to do with Martial Attitude, to create the perfect environment for visually impaired and blind people to feel safe, secure, supported, and to find an activity that is interesting for them because it's new, but also it is very relevant for them because they can learn something, and this something, it doesn't stand alone in the moment of training, but it has important ripple effect on their behaviors, for instance posture, but also in their sense of confidence outside of the training. So it is really relevant for them for better motivation. So practically speaking, the adapted physical activities should accommodate students with diverse abilities. For instance, partner-based exercise can allow sighted and visually impaired students to collaborate, leveraging tactile communication to navigate and complete tasks together. And this creates, in the case of visually impaired, a shared experience that fosters inclusivity and peer learning. Then you use things, strategies, such as, in my case, for martial attitude training, tactile elements into games. You can create exercise or strategies that includes feeling tactile markers on the floor or exchanging physical signals with the partner. So this would help visually impaired students to participate fully. For instance, a partner guided obstacle course on a follow the leader exercise based on touch that can build trust, spatial awareness, teamwork skills. You can find this example in the real world where you see activities such as running with a thread. So the fully sighted person is connected through a tether to the visually impaired blind person and they run together. You can create something around this idea. But then, of course, you need to build confidence through incremental challenges. And activities should progress gradually. So starting with simple tasks and building to more complex ones. For instance, in martial attitude training, participants first learn isolated movement, and then they start practice one movement that they did with the right hand or arm, with the left one, and then together, and then in choreographed forms. And this step-by-step approach ensures that students feel capable at every stage, reinforcing their competence and motivation. And I want to emphasize as well that beyond physical fitness, these activities encourage students to form meaningful connection with their peers. In the case of vision impaired individuals, of course, tactile exercise can reduce feelings of isolation and promote emotional resilience, providing long-lasting benefits that extend beyond the physical exercise class. Of course, there are always research implication to what you do. And in my case, I can give you my personal experience. When I thought about martial attitude training, I thought that it could have helped build confidence. But how you measure confidence in touch? So is there a way to measure it? And I discovered that there was not really one. So there is a touch avoidance scale, but that was created originally for clinical purposes, and it was derived by the attachment theory. So that was something to work on, let's say a starting point. So making research, I discovered this scale, and my future research will be, of course, focusing on developing a new scale that can be used not only by me but everyone else. And so the work that you do and the job that you're doing now, studying the literature, it provides you with important elements to discover, well, I can use this, but I can also improve this, or I can support my results and data using something that is very well grounded in the literature, so I can explain it better, and I can use, if you need to, some quantitative data apart from what I do qualitatively with my people during training. And of course, when you develop your own idea, the training method that you will be adopted could be incorporated in physical education curricula. And this is important because this is is rooted in your not only imagination but in your whim to create more, to share more, to integrate support and a more inclusive physical education program that address both physical fitness and psychological development, fostering teamwork, empathy among all participants. So by focusing on the role of touch in building confidence and connectedness, the training of martial attitude addresses not only physical well-being but also emotional resilience, social inclusion. And this is something that I heavily suggest you to explore, to find your thing and to find ways to connect new ways of teaching physical education to people with physical disabilities, but also to promote psychological well-being. Of course, then you work on your project, you see how it goes, you make major adjustments, minor corrections where needed, and then you see, okay, where we go from here? Well, I can give you, again, my lived experience with martial attitude training. Now that we have an established workshop once a week in London, we need to expand. How can I expand? In my case, I will try to expand the program in a star-shaped network across London, meaning that I have a central location, and then I will look for having another one in the south, west, north, east. And then participants, they give you feedback on what you're doing. And those are extremely valuable. So please take extra care of noting them down and speaking with your participants or to the people who are assisting them or coming with them. And of course, the teachers, if you're working in teaching environment and schooling environment, and to understand what they say about what you're doing. They might give you great ideas. For instance, participants at Martial Attitude training, they suggested, well, we would like really to have some elements of it that we can take with us at home. So even if you are not here with us training, but I can still have a cue. And this is going to be developed in an audio description system for, let's say, independent practice. And then, of course, there are moving forward other important steps that I need to undertake with martial attitude training, and I need more institutional collaborations. Of course, hopefully to reach out for more participants. I collaborated actively with the Royal National Institute for the Blind, for Metro Blind Sport, the Pocklington Trust, and I am in conversations with Moorfield Eye Hospital, for instance. But this has to be kept alive and move forward to have even more of an impact. In conclusion, I really call you to action. As future educators, you have the opportunity to transform lives by creating inclusive and supportive physical education environments. So, adapted physical education is not just about making activities accessible. I repeat this. It's about fostering confidence, connection, a sense of belonging for all your students. And I encourage you to think critically about how you can apply this principle in your future work. Together, really, we can build more inclusive work through education and physical activity. I thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, would you like to learn more about what I've done, or if I can help you anyway, please feel free to reach out. In the next slide, again, you will find the QR code. You can email me, no problem, or contact me by your preferred social media. I look forward to continuing this important conversation with you. Best of everything. Ciao.